Welcome to my favorite movie. Today I'll be talking about the movie The Rise of Genghis Khan, so remain put. The modern northwestern Chinese provinces were formerly known as the Tangut Kingdom and were controlled by the same name dynasty in the year 1172. Several Mongolian tribes called the Khans, each led by a chieftain, existed there, as did rivalry among the tribes and a desire for supremacy among them. He caused several disagreements, fights, and fatalities. In the land of the Mongols, there are no rules, and the people desperately need a supreme Khan to guide and unite them. The leader of a small tribe in the west is CBI. He travels to Mujin at the movie's start with his men and his 9-year-old son to find the boy a wife at night. They stopped at a friend's tribe to relax. Temujin is busy caring for his horse when a girl named Bort comes up to him and asks his name. He responds by introducing himself and explaining the reason for the journey. Hayes looks for a bride board and asserts confidently that he ought to wed her to Mujin. Father desires to marry a member of a different tribe for political reasons. But after hearing his son's repeated pleadings, the guy agrees to let him select a member of their tribe rather than the girl too. Mujin is instructed to seek out a person with sturdy legs. Because only a woman with powerful legs can make her man happy and pick Bort, as Mujin does, they are only allowed to remain together for 5 years after being legally married. Before departing, however, Mujin promises to return soon and gives Bort a necklace as a gift to remember him. They were returning to their village. Yes, you guys, and the guys rest next to an inn. They are on guard since a rival tribe's leader and his soldiers are sitting a few yards away. Unexpectedly, the competitor sends his guys with a bowl of milk to reciprocate the act of peace. You guys do indeed return with a bowl of juice. Your right-hand man advises that since they can't trust their adversaries, he should let the servant sip the milk first. But he has to since he doesn't want to blow the chance to settle things over suspicion. He finishes the bowl, as does the other Khan a little while later, and they continue their trek. Yes, you too are experiencing chest pain. He loses his balance and passes away. There is no doubt about the opponent's move. He was poisoned by taking advantage of his kindness. Add to Mujin visits his father, but his supporters don't give a damn. The custom is for the populace to obey only an influential leader. They are more focused on finding a new scam than on exacting revenge now that their boss is dead. The previous. Does the next scene show Tu Mujin and his mother attending a funeral for you guys? Yes, your guy owned a lot of cattle and homes, which his right-hand man, Target, has taken over. I too knew he is cursed by Jin's mother, who also predicts that her son will kill him. One day, I realized that Target. He decides to kill Mujin since it is true. However, when they measure his height, it falls short of the top of a cartwheel. It is forbidden to kill a child by Mongol tradition, which is why Temujin's life is preserved but aims next winter, when Temujin's height has expanded, Hai pledges to return. Mujin has nowhere to hide when winter arrives. He is reminded of his father's words about God Tengri, who will assist him when he is in need. Therefore, he travels to the holy mountain to pay a visit, but on the how he unintentionally plunges into a frozen lake and nearly perishes. A boy his age named Jamoka saves him. He invites his younger brother to live with them and feeds him. Mujin is appreciative of the brothers for saving his life. He claims to be Jamaica's blood brother. They mix milk with their blood in a bowl and consume it to demonstrate their loyalty to one another. Oh, MGK. Plus Megan. The following morning, when Target confronts Fox, it turns out they are not crazy. I'm still seeking Tu Temujin to kill him and his people. He is kidnapped and brought back to the tribe by them. Fortunately for Mujin, his height hasn't increased much since the last time, so he must be kept in captivity until he matures into a gentle older man who feeds him daily and tends to his wounds. Several days later, they take another measurement of his height, but nothing has changed. However, as it starts to rain, everyone retreats to their homes. The older man uses this chance to practice his Mujin. With the wooden aircraft still over his neck, the youngster runs as far as he can. When he visits the highlands, requests assistance for Mujin from god Tangra. Then notices a white wolf standing next to the god monument. The wooden plane miraculously breaks a few seconds later. The scene shifts to 1186, where Mujin has become an adult but still evades target. After a year-long hunt, they manage to find him and imprison him in a similar wooden plane. This time, he has gained enough weight to match the height reference, making it unlikely that he would survive target. He should beg for his life, in my opinion. But, 2. Being a proud man, Mujin declines to do. Target chooses to torture him as a result progressively. When it gets dark, the older man who had assisted Mujin in feeding him begs Mujin to spare his life so that he can return and exact revenge on Target for his treatment. Since everyone is busy, including Mujin, I approach him by myself and make fun of him. Mujin seizes the chance to attack the opponent and kills him by repeatedly striking him with a wooden plane. That he departs the community and finds safety once more before turning into the car and returning to his tribe. He must bring his bride home first, though. For the first time since he was 9 years old, he visits his in-laws' tribe. Board has developed into a powerful and attractive lady, but are those legs stick? Board has been waiting for Temujin since she last saw him, and Temujin brings Board with him when he accepts a coat as dowry. After several years, when he returns to his mother and sister, they are warmly greeted by the family for the following month. They had the life of their dreams, and Mujin and Bort were falling more and more in love as spouses when one day they were assaulted by the Market tribe. Because Mujin's father had been captured by the Khan of Marquette and was determined to exact retribution, he came to grab the board. When the pair attempts to flee from Temujin, Temujin is shot by an arrow and Board is abducted to become the rival's bride. Khan said imaging improves. He is aware that he must win his wife back, but he cannot accomplish this alone. He, therefore, visits his former blood brother. Place Jim's hookah. Jamaica has developed into a formidable tribe's con man. Because he is preoccupied with the task at hand, he agrees to help, but only after a year. A year goes by quickly. Then they advanced with their forces to attack each tribe's mark. After robbing the location, they found a pregnant Board in one of the huts. She had slain a guy whose dead body was lying by her. Mujin quickly claimed that the kid was his and took revenge on her. Night. By this time, Mujin had amassed a sizable following. The army ordered him to disperse the cattle that had been stolen, but unlike most con artists, Mujin only kept 10% while giving the remainder to his men. Even more, goods are being offered to the fallen soldier's family. Since the Mongols were free to choose their khans, of Jamaicans realized this and decided to join two Mujin tribes. Although Jim Hookah can't do anything about it, it is clear from the next scene to Mujin that he sees this as a betrayal. Soldiers. When they witness a man attempting to steal their horses, they pursue him and accidentally kill him. It turned out that Jamaica's younger brother was the actual thief. Jamoka decides to kill Mujin as a result of the encounter. Forgetting that he is his blood brother, he teams up with a different tribe, and two Mu are attacked. Mu's tribe was Jin's. Jin knows that his group will lose the battle because they are still significantly outnumbered. The women and children are expelled, and he forces them to fight bravely. Even after eliminating multiple adversaries, Temujin is ultimately apprehended. Jamaica refers to him as a brother and encourages him to implore pity. He doesn't want to murder someone who still has self-confidence and strength. As a result, he enslaves him and sells him to the brokers for money. And the rest of his men are forced to traverse miles of the desert on foot. How to travel to the city under Tengu Dynasty authority. They are left out in the open for anyone to inspect and purchase as they like. One day, a higher-ranking dynasty official visits the market and expresses interest in purchasing Mujin. His monk advisors stop Mujin, though, because you can see that he's not the best candidate for slavery. He lacks even thick legs. He believes that the mighty dynasty would come to an end because of Mujin. The purchaser chuckles at the remark before purchasing two Mujin. Nonetheless, then, as a free man, he is held in a cage. The monk visits him daily and asks for forgiveness even though he is visible to the public. he strikes a deal with Mujin. That the monastery won't be destroyed if he searches for a board with Mujin. When the time comes, when you're looking for board, the monk passes away in the wilderness after losing consciousness. Fortunately, a board finds him and notices the necklace. She realizes her husband is still alive and goes to the city to look for him after having him as the one she possessed for several years, due to Mujin being evident to the public. She moves quickly. The same night, before locating him, she helped Mujin escape by bribing the guard. He is shocked to see how much his son has grown. She reluctantly had to be with another man to make ends meet, and Bort now has a second daughter. And Mujin loves her even more for providing for her children. The family of 4 returns to their rural home and lives there contentedly for a month after she makes her sacrifices and reveals to the small girl that he is her father. The kids adore their father and spend a lot of time playing with him. Then Bort comments one day, "Every Mongol is the same." They kidnap, rob and kill him, but the comment profoundly affects Mujin. He decides to leave his family to rule over as many tribes as possible. The Mongol world. The scene switches to 1196 as Mujin pledged never to slaughter women and children, fight his foes to the last end, and never betray anybody. Even if he had to kill half the tribes to get there, he successfully assembled an army of Mongols who he used to unite many tribes into one enormous tribe. Jamaica is the only thing standing between him from becoming the absolute emperor. He today has a legion of supporters at his back. With their army, 2 brothers are standing on the battlefield. It begins and Jamoka, for the greatest battle, dispatches the first batch to fight in a hurry. The entire war is planned around Mujin. After hours of complex and prolonged combat, Mujin prevails because Jamaica is spontaneous and loses many of its troops. The remaining enemy soldiers, including Jamoka, are shown below. The soldiers were mistaken for 2 of Mujin's followers. The action makes them grateful and devoted to their nuke on the older man rather than causing them to be murdered. Who once assisted him in fleeing is appointed the advisor of the group. Deciding for the Jamoka brothers is now the only thing left to do. Discuss how far they have come in life while sitting together. Jamaica admits with pride that if Imogen weren't in this situation right now, he would have murdered his adversary. This is another evidence that he and Mujin are not the same person since, out of respect for his brother and due to the hustle he put into building an army, Temujin forgives him and lets him go. Then, we observe that both are Bort. Her kids have moved back in with Mujin and are living there. And ended up happily with him. Genghis Khan was reportedly made the Khan of all Mongols in 1206 to Mujin as he had promised. He destroyed the Tang dynasty and rebuilt the kingdom, but he left the monastery precisely as it was at the desire of his deceased mother. He ended up being the creator of the entire Mongol Empire. History's greatest contiguous empire.